my dad's problems are none of my concern. They're for him to clear with himself. They have nothing to do with my inherent value. They have nothing to do with how amazing I am. They have nothing to do with how much he has hurt himself by losing out on being a part of my life. So I want to talk a little bit about the mother wound and the father wound. There's been some sort of synchronicity going on between me and my friends. We have been on the same page around the nagging mother and father. Now mind you, I have been working on this father wound since I was like 5, literally. But like I've really been going hard in the paint since maybe like 20 years old. Like Google was the first place I went. Fatherless daughters, or like that's what I used to type that kind of thing, like fatherless daughters or something like that. And then like there was like no content about it at the time. This is when YouTube was new. Ever since then, it's just been like an ongoing thing. Undoing, unraveling, re-raveling, redoing, sealing, aloe vera-ing. A lot of internal work and love and implementation and reworking has been involved in putting myself back together again from the hurt I felt from my dad leaving. I feel like a grand majority of my life was based just on this. I mean, and then I learned as I got older about different practices. I learned about chakras and human design and gene keys and you know, of course, I was raised in Christianity and learned about Taoism. Just learning. I'm just learning. And I found that father stuff is very root-based. Like, you know, talk about the root chakra or the root center in human design. The root being around stability and blood and bone and safety and the ability to do, pressure to get things done, routine, and those kinds of things. Very earthy, very solid space. And I learned that that part of my life was just like AWOL, you know, for a very long time. And I found it very difficult to plant myself, to put 2 feet in on the ground around my root, around my stability, because my father influence wasn't there, and it wasn't consistent, and it wasn't certain, and there was no example of that for me as a child growing into adulthood. So learning to trust myself, learning to trust life, learning to trust in other people to support me was huge. It was a huge fucking part. It was a huge part. It was a huge part of my healing process, friend. It was so big, so hard. It's like an ongoing thing. It still is a thing. It just seems like from different angles, it's just something different to give me more solid ground. You know, like I feel solid here, but maybe this root piece needs to extend itself on this side of my root, you know, or whatever. I couldn't tell you the analogy there, but it's something that's consistently creating a mountain for me in my root, creating an unmovable stance in my life so that the people I'm here to serve are fully supported. So why I'm sharing this with you is because clearly you resonate with this in some way. Otherwise you wouldn't click on this video. You don't feel stable, you don't feel solid, you don't feel certain, you don't feel confident, you don't feel validated, you don't feel rooted in who you are and what role you play on this planet, or in yourself and your self-esteem, your self-view, or your view of family, or your view in society, yourself, what role you play and how solid you are in that. Maybe that's something that resonates with you. I found that what's helped me is understanding. Understanding has helped me. Understanding is awareness first. Aware. So a lot of times people say forgiveness. There's steps to this thing, right? of your father or of yourself or of life. You know, we have resentments and things that we hold on and toward things that we may not even be aware that we have. You have this vendetta with God, or you have this vendetta with life. How could you set me up this way to be in this type of position that blah, 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 you know? Or like my dad ain't shit and he blah, 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 you know? What's helped me is awareness, learning the different key players and the different environments and the different influences and patterns that had to happen, that had to occur for my dad to be the type of man he was. And how I'm still replaying them in my own life for me to be this angry, for me to hold on as tightly as I am to the hurt and the anger. I'm still replaying those same patterns. What are they? And release them. Let them go. They're not yours. Understanding is not saying, okay, I understand and everything is great. It's one quote. It's one quote that I cannot forget. And I can't remember who it was who said. I cannot remember. Candace. I want to say her name is Candace Van something. She said, no father would reject you if he wasn't first rejected. No father would abandon you if he wasn't first abandoned. My granddad was not in my father's life. It's a pattern. It's this loop that my family been caught in year after year after year with themselves and with each other. And I am the one to stop it here. This is where we blow the torch out and we light a new torch and start a new race. That just because you have experienced the things you've experienced with your family or with the people you love, that you were born into something that was already occurring before you got here. That it's not you. It's what you've experienced. That you just happen to be in the line of fire. You came to this planet, you had your set things, but you were innocent. The conditioning took time. The deconditioning takes time. My dad's problems are none of my concern. They're for him to clear within himself. They have nothing to do with my inherent value. They have nothing to do with how amazing I am. They have nothing to do with how much he has hurt himself by losing out on being a part of my life. I need you to understand that your dad not only abandoned you, but he abandoned a part of himself when he abandoned you. And you're amazing. And your job is to go and look at that portion of yourself, love yourself, make peace with yourself, and understand so you can forgive and let go so you can be free. This is not an overnight sensation. However much time it takes and however much time you need to move through this, do that. If it takes you 10 years, if it takes you 5 minutes, that's your time and your allotted time. No need to judge it. No need to rush it. No need to slow it down. You got it. Love you. Ciao.